Hello, Class 5-1 Orange Group. Mr. Waterman here with today's Language Arts lesson on Friday, September 3rd, 2021. Good morning to you all. This is the Period 1 lesson. A few days ago, we started our next unit in our grammar book, reviewing the present tense, past tense, and future tense. I'm going to go over the answers from Wednesday's activities on pages 71 and 72 first. Then I will go over what you're supposed to do today on pages 73 and 74. On Wednesday, we learned that a verb in the present tense tells what is happening right now. Okay? Or I should say, we reviewed, because you should know this already. We also reviewed that to form present tense singular verbs, you add S to most verbs. Not all, but most. You add ES to verbs that end in S, SS, CH, SH, X, or Z. Finally, we reviewed that if a verb ends with a consonant and Y, change the Y to I before adding ES, as we did in tries. For the activity, you needed to read each sentence and change the underlined verb in the sentence to the correct form of the present tense. So we did numbers 1 and 2 together. Let's continue. Please check your answers. 3. Benjamin Sheets postpones the discussion until the 4th of July. Postpones. P-O-S-T-P-O-N-E-S. Okay? When you postpone something, you move it until later, a later date. This would be a good bonus word for next week. 4. Mr. Sheeks wishes he didn't misbehave in court. Wishes is not spelled right. It should be W-I-S-H-E-S. 5. Colonel Bright finished his career in Washington, D.C. This is in the past tense. We need to put it in the present tense. It should be finishes. F-I-N-I-S-H-E-S. 6. The professor piles the stones in South Pass City. P-I-L-E-S. 7. She remembers what happened in South Pass City. Remembers is spelled incorrectly. We don't need E-S at the end. R-E-M-E-M-B-E-R-S. 8. The Secretary of State announces a change to the Constitution. Announces. A-N-N-O-U-N-C-E-S. That's another good word for you to remember. 9. Time passes before the United States Constitution changes. Pass ends with 2 S's, so we need an E-S. P-A-S-S-E-S. Finally, Wyoming gives women the right to vote before any other state. Gives. G-I-V-E-S. And there you have it. Here are your answers for page 71. Check them. And remember to put a check mark next to any bonus words you see me put a check next to. Turning the page to page 72. Now this is focusing on past tense and future tense. We reviewed that a verb in the past tense tells about an action that already happened. We also reviewed that if a verb ends in E, you drop the E before adding ED. We reviewed if a verb ends in one vowel and one consonant, double the consonant before adding ED. Then we reviewed that if a verb ends in a consonant and Y, change Y to I before adding ED. And finally, we also reviewed that if a verb in the future tense, or that a verb in the future tense, it tells about an action that is going to happen. To write about the future, you have to use the word will in front of the verb. Looking at our activities on the bottom, we had to, for the first part, complete each sentence with the past tense of one of the verbs in the box above. Then we also had to complete each sentence with the future tense of one of the verbs in the box above. We did numbers 1 and 5 together. Now, let's go through the rest of the answers. 2. Women in Wyoming gained, Gained, gained the right to vote. Many years ago, women in the United States could not vote, so this was a very, very important time for women. Just in case, you could have looked back here and you could have gotten hints to do this activity. But I'm sure many of you knew that. All right, number 3. Let's check again off. She collected stones to build a memorial. You all know what that means. Bonus word. Number 4. The government changed the Constitution. Now, let's look at the next part. 6. Many people will remember Esther Morris forever. 7. The mayor of South Pass City will invite the citizens to a dedication ceremony. I see all kinds of words that I like as bonus words for next week. Finally, number 8, Esther Morris will serve as a judge in South Pass City. Here are all of your answers for page 72. And now, let's look at today's activities on pages 73 and 74. Lots of writing. Get ready. Please listen carefully as I go through each point. And of course, please read along if you'd like. Point 1. In poetry, a line may not be a complete thought or sentence. A thought or sentence may break into 2 or more lines. Point 2. If a line of poetry ends with a comma or a period, the reader should pause. No pause is necessary if a line ends without punctuation. Point 3. In many poems, each new line begins with a capital letter. Now, listen to the directions. Rewrite the poem. Punctuate it correctly, using commas and periods when necessary. Be sure to capitalize letters correctly. Next to each line of the poem, write whether the line is written in the past, present, or future tense. Please listen and follow along as I read the poem. The windows, like eyes, will help all people see. You can't shut all the doors and call people free. People break through the glass to take back their rights and run out of darkness and into the light. Women, like warriors, fought for their votes, took back their freedom, and realized their hopes. All was well once Esther Morris went west. She had a vision to change the law for the best. What a beautiful poem that is, isn't it? And a very important one. Now, let's take a look at the first line. The windows, like eyes, will help all people see. This is in the future tense. Will help. Okay? Now, do we need any punctuation here? What do you think? Well, this is a thought and it's broken into two sentences, right? Two different sentences here. What we should do here for this one is we should put a comma in. And we need to put a period here at the end of the next line. Let's look at the next line. You can't shut all the doors and call people free. This is the present tense. Okay? So what you're going to do is go through and do the rest for these lines here. Then after that, you're going to begin writing the poem. So I have fixed the first two sentences. And I'm going to start to rewrite it. And I really like this poem because all people should have the right to vote. Not just men, it should be women too. Hopefully there are enough lines for you to rewrite the entire poem, but if there are not, that's okay. It sometimes happens. Okay, and I'll stop there. Okay, please complete the rest of the page, and then when you're finished, please turn to page 74. My favorite activity, proofreading. All right. Now, we are working with all three tenses, so let's review the points. A verb in the present tense tells what is happening now. A verb in the past tense tells about an action that already happened. And a verb in the future tense tells about an action that is going to happen. Please listen as I read the directions. Rewrite the following passage. Change the incorrect verbs to the proper tenses. Correct any errors in capitalization or punctuation. Please listen and read along. Esther Morris traveled by carriage to South Pass City. When she arrived, she thought, I will paid a call on Colonel William Bright. Colonel Bright was busy getting his beard trimmed, so she waited outside of the barber shop. After some time will pass, Mr. Benjamin Sheeks walked by and asked her if she thought South Pass City was a pleasant place to visit. Esther said that her vote was yes to that question. Mr. Sheeks was surprised by her reply. He said that women were not allowed to vote. Esther will smile and asked him why he had asked her the question if he thought she couldn't have an opinion. Ooh, very interesting. I like Esther Morris. All right, now let's have a look. We'll fix a few of these together. The first mistake I see is a lowercase m in Morris. That's her last name. Should be capital. South Pass City is the name of the city. We need a capital P and a capital C. When she arrived, she thought, I will paid. This should be I will pay. P-A-Y. A call on Colonel William Bright. Okay? Colonel, capital C. That's a title. Colonel Bright was busy getting his beard trimmed, so she waited, past tense, outside of the barber shop. Now let's rewrite the first paragraph. Indent. Oops. Esther Morris traveled by carriage to South Pass City. Could you imagine traveling by carriage now? It would take forever, wouldn't it? I can't believe how people had to travel back then. When she arrived, she thought, I will pay. A call on Colonel William Bright. Okay, Colonel, capital C again. Bright was busy getting his beard trimmed. Do any of your dads have beards? My dad doesn't have a beard. I don't have a beard. It's too much. So she waited outside of the barber shop. Okay, and there you have it. We have fixed the first paragraph together, and I'm going to leave you to do the rest on your own. So remember, for today, you needed to check your answers on pages 71 and 72. We started 2 new activities on pages 73 and 74. Please check your sentences carefully. Make sure you're using the correct capitalization and punctuation. Okay? Make sure you have full stops at the end of those sentences. That is it for our grammar lessons for the week. The next time we will pick up with our lessons will be on Tuesday of next week, in which you will have a test. Okay? The test looks very short and it looks easy. Okay? If you want to study for it ahead of time, do that. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or send me a message on Class Dojo. Have a fantastic weekend. Oh, I'll see you in period 2. I have to make that video now. See you in a little bit. Bye-bye for now.